I'm not upset at all. We needed bodies. This guy is not he's not a scrub. Like a scrub is Marcus Davenport, somebody who can't stay healthy. He's not even a Al-Qadim Muhammad. Muhammad had one good year, was on a practice squad. Wonnum was on the team. Like he was decent on the Carolina Panthers. And he played with Brian Burns for a little while as well. So I'm not mad at this at all. I don't know if you guys thought I would be. And I have not been talking about the edge rusher position for a long time, because when the season ended, I understood that we are not an edge rusher away from a Super Bowl. With the departure of Taylor Decker and needing to replace Frank Ragnow, and we don't know what we're going to do at right tackle or left tackle, I knew that we are not a one player away. No matter who that player is, we're not one player away.
While most of the NFL world was focused on big-name signings and headline-grabbing trades, the Detroit Lions made a move that barely registered on the radar. No massive reactions, no viral debates, just a simple signing that quietly added depth to their defense. The Lions brought in DJ Wonnum, and at first glance, it didn't seem like a game-changing move. He's not a superstar. He's not the kind of player who instantly shifts betting odds or dominates sports shows. But that's exactly what makes this interesting. Because teams that consistently win don't rely only on stars. They rely on smart roster building. They find players who can fill specific roles, contribute consistently, and elevate the overall structure of the team. And that's where this move starts to make sense.
In fact, since he's been here, he hasn't been that great for the Panthers. But when he was a Minnesota Viking, he was getting average 8 sacks a year, and that's something that the Lions could get, right? 8 sacks a year kind of reminds you, replacing the contract. Now, he's not the size, obviously, of Al-Qadim Mohammed or anything of that nature, but he is going to replace, hopefully, that productivity. Now, again, his career stats is not that great, right? 30 career sacks, 142.
Detroit isn't trying to win the offseason. They're trying to build on what they already have, a team that has been rising steadily, becoming more competitive, and developing a clear identity. Every move they make now is about strengthening that identity. DJ Wonnum fits into that approach perfectly. He's a player who has shown flashes of production, who understands his role, and who doesn't need to be the center of attention to make an impact. This kind of signing doesn't excite casual fans immediately, but it catches the attention of people who understand how teams are built over time, because depth, consistency, and flexibility matter just as much as star power. And when you look at Detroit's trajectory, this move feels very intentional. Not flashy, not loud, but calculated.
I think we may have just witnessed the quickest initial video to signing turnaround of all time. We got some breaking news coming out of the city of Detroit, and you guys can see it from the banner below, and that is that the Detroit Lions have decided to sign DJ Wonnum. I just made a video about him earlier today. What happened was I actually scheduled that video to come out at 7:30, and at 7:45 we made this signing. But before we get into that, I only got one thing to say.
I told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? 'Cause I told you. And when did I tell you? A long time ago. And what did I say will happen when I told you? Exactly what just happened.
Now, I got the hat backwards because I was outside, came in quickly to make this video, and then I'm going to head back out. But the breaking news is as follows, coming from Tom Pelissero's Twitter, says, Former Panthers free agent defensive end DJ Wonnum.
Sometimes the most important moves are the ones that don't look important at first. And this might be one of those situations where a quiet signing ends up having a much bigger impact than anyone expected. DJ Wonnum isn't a household name, but he's far from an unknown player. Over the past few seasons, he has quietly built a reputation as a reliable edge defender who can contribute in multiple ways. He's not the type of player who dominates every game, but he's also not someone who disappears. He sits in that middle ground, consistent, capable, and often overlooked. And in the NFL, that kind of player can be extremely valuable.
Breaking news, folks. The Detroit Lions have made a signing, and a signing at a position we all have been waiting for. And that's pass rush. That's right. The Detroit Lions have finally made a signing for the defensive line. Former Panthers free agent defensive end DJ Wonnum is signing a one-year deal worth up to $6 million with the Detroit Lions, per his agents Kevin Connor and Robert Brown. Yay, we get some signing on the defensive line.
Wonnum has shown that he can pressure the quarterback, set the edge against the run, and play within a defensive system without trying to do too much. That balance is important, especially for teams that already have star players and just need complementary pieces. One of his strengths is his versatility. He can line up in different positions, adjust to different schemes, and still perform at a solid level. That makes him useful in a league where offenses are constantly evolving.
And I'll tell you, Steve, why. Because he's a beast, Steve. That's why.
I'm sitting here
because he's a beast. He's a
happening?
beast. That's why. Listen, this isn't the guy that you're looking to be your pin the ears back rusher opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. But what he is your anchor defensive end that's going to be stout in the run game. And he's sneaky good with his pass rush. If you're looking for a guy that's going to get there lightning quick, he doesn't even get there lightning quick when he's unblocked, if I'm being honest. But what he is a guy who can use his hands. And he can use his hands violently. He has multiple pass rush moves. He's got a first move and a secondary move. Honestly, he's not as dominant with his bull rush as Marcus Davenport is when he's healthy. But when he puts his hands on you, Steve, you know his hands is on you. You know they there. And when he knocks your hands off of him, most of the time they don't stick. I like him as a depth rotational piece. I think that he could definitely help the Detroit Lions out immediately. I think what we need to do is make him a fair offer before somebody else grabs him.
He's also experienced. Having played in a competitive defensive environment, he understands what it takes to handle high-level offenses. That experience doesn't always show up in highlight reels, but it shows up in consistency. The biggest thing about Wonnum is that he doesn't need to be the main guy. He can play his role, support the system, and still make key plays when needed. That's the kind of player teams look for when building depth. He may not generate headlines, but he brings stability. And sometimes stability is exactly what a defense needs to take the next step. Whenever a player switches teams, the question always comes up, why did the previous team let him go? In DJ Wonnum's case, the answer isn't as simple as a decline in performance.
But it's just not been that great, right? 3 sacks, 4 sacks, 8 sacks, 4 sacks, 8 sacks, 3 sacks. So this is a guy that's just going to be a rotational piece. That's it. It's not the end-all, be-all. But not every player can be the end-all, be-all. You can't have every single player. You know, this is a depth player. Again, I do believe that they're going to get their bigger starter in the draft. That's what I 1,000% believe. It's not a huge signing. It's not the signing I'm going to say this is going to take it over the top. No, it's up to $6 million.
The Vikings were going through their own adjustments. Changes in roster priorities, financial decisions, and overall direction can all influence which players stay and which ones leave. It's not always about ability. Wonnum was part of a defensive rotation, not the centerpiece. That makes players more replaceable, especially when teams are trying to manage salary cap space and invest in different areas. There's also the reality of the NFL cycle. Teams are constantly looking to get younger, cheaper, or more specialized depending on their strategy. Sometimes solid players become casualties of those shifts. It's important to understand that being released or not re-signed doesn't automatically mean a player isn't good enough. It often means the team is moving in a different direction. For Wonnum, this creates an opportunity, a chance to step into a new system with a new role and potentially a better fit. That's where players can revive their impact and show more than they did before. And from Detroit's perspective, this is exactly the kind of situation they want to take advantage of, a player who still has value, available at a reasonable cost. So, while the Vikings moved on, it doesn't mean Wonnum's story is slowing down. It might actually be setting up for a stronger next chapter. The Lions didn't sign DJ Wonnum by accident. This was a move based on evaluation, fit, and long-term planning. They saw something in him that aligned with what they are trying to build defensively. Detroit's defense has been improving, but they still need depth and rotation along the edge. Adding a player like Wonnum gives them more flexibility in how they manage snaps and matchups. The coaching staff likely values his ability to play within structure. He doesn't overextend, doesn't abandon assignments, and understands positioning. That kind of discipline is critical in a system-focused defense. They also see potential for growth. Sometimes a player just needs the right environment to unlock another level. Different coaching, different teammates, and different expectations can all influence performance. Wonnum gives them options. He can be used in specific situations, rotated to keep players fresh, or even take on a larger role if needed. That adaptability makes him a smart addition. There's also the financial aspect. This isn't a high-risk move. The Lions didn't overcommit. They added value without sacrificing flexibility, which is key for teams trying to stay competitive long-term.
Do I want him? Yes, I want him. 6'5", 260, still in the prime age, 28 years old, South Carolina, go Cox. Well, you had me looking up his NFL card thinking, God, like, is this guy slower than I thought? Like, I mean, he's not blazing fast. He's not going to set the world record, but 4.7, a little slow on the 10-yard split, a 1.7. Solid production. Listen, I'm with you 1,010%. Backup death piece. Sign the guy. Doesn't change my draft strategy. I could still go out and get one of the younger kids and have him as a just in case. My excitement level, I wasn't at an 8. I was pretty shocked to hear you at an 8. I was going to say like a 6. I'm like a solid 6 because it's a position of need. It seems like the type of guy Brad Holmes would sign, just a 1 year, prove it deal type guy, dependable. I see something in his, as I'm doing some research about a torn quad in 2023. I don't know.
2024, I thought.
I think it was at the end of 2023, and he might have missed some time going into 2024. It looks like, or maybe maybe it was in 2024. I don't know. Maybe it was a 2023 season. But yes, that's the only time he's missed some games, significant games. The 2024 season only played in 8 games. Last year played in all 16 out of 17. Actually, they played a playoff game, so he missed a game or two somewhere there. But nothing crazy. Not like a Marcus Davenport where you get 4 snaps and then he's done for the year. Solid pass rusher, not going to go to the Pro Bowl, not going to be the team leader in sacks, but he could be a big X factor for the Detroit Lions. I signed him to a 1-year, $3 million deal. If we weren't going to give Al-Qadim Muhammad 4, I can't imagine we're going to give anyone else more than that. So I think a 1-year, $3 million deal, prove it potentially. I don't know what his spot track or anything suggests, but well, I don't know if you let him leave the building if he's in there today for a visit. Why let him walk out?
When you combine all of that, fit, cost, and potential, it becomes clear why Detroit made this move. It may not be flashy, but it's very intentional. Detroit's defense is built around energy, physicality, and controlled aggression. They want players who can execute their roles without creating gaps or breakdowns. That's where DJ Wonnum fits naturally. He provides rotational depth on the edge, allowing the Lions to keep their defensive line fresh. That matters over a full game, especially against high-tempo offenses. Wonnum can also be used situationally. On passing downs, his ability to generate pressure becomes valuable. On running downs, he can hold his position and maintain structure. This flexibility allows the Lions to adjust without making major changes to their scheme. They gain options without losing consistency. And over time, that kind of depth makes a big difference. It allows the defense to maintain performance across all 4 quarters, not just in bursts. The real value of this signing isn't something you'll fully understand on day 1. It's not about immediate headlines or flashy stats. It's about what happens over the course of a long, physical NFL season where depth quietly becomes one of the most important factors. Defensive lines don't stay dominant by relying on the same players every snap. Fatigue builds up, injuries happen, and performance drops when rotation is limited. That's where a player like DJ Wonnum becomes extremely valuable for a team like Detroit. He gives the Lions the ability to rotate consistently without a major drop in quality. That alone changes how a defense performs late in games. Fresh legs mean faster reactions, stronger pass rush, and fewer missed assignments when it matters most. There's also the element of internal competition. When you add a player who can legitimately contribute, it forces everyone else in that position group to elevate their game. No one can afford to get comfortable, and that naturally raises the standard across the defense. Another layer to this is flexibility. Injuries are unpredictable, and teams that can adjust quickly are the ones that survive deep into the season. Wonnum gives Detroit that insurance. If something goes wrong, they're not scrambling for answers.
He popped up. I was like, man, that name's familiar. Had to do a little digging. I like everything I see, but I like him as what we're talking about, as a second wave of guys, or a role player if he needs to step into someone else's shoes if that world happens. I like that we could sign him for cheap and still draft someone and put them ahead of him on the depth chart. That's probably my biggest thing, is just consistency, a little bit of everything. Really good in the pass rush, or not really good in the pass rush, good enough in the pass rush, really good in the run game. All around defensive end. This just screams Brad Holmes signing to me. I feel like it's going to happen. If it hasn't happened already, I'm gonna refresh Twitter as we speak and see if it's happened, because I think something will come down within the next 8 hours or so. Like before you wake up in the morning, I think we'll be talking about DJ Wonnum signing as a Detroit Lion, and it's just going to bolster up that free agency class that a lot of people hate. I think we love it. We're talking about the secondary. It got better.
And then there's the upside factor. If he performs better than expected, this move becomes one of the most efficient signings of the offseason. The Lions get production at a lower cost, which allows them to allocate resources elsewhere. That's the hidden impact. It's not loud, but it's powerful. And over time, it can quietly influence how successful this defense becomes. At first glance, this signing might not stand out. It doesn't carry the excitement of a superstar acquisition or the immediate buzz of a major trade. But the NFL isn't just about big moments. It's about consistent decisions that add up over time. DJ Wonnum represents that kind of decision. A player with experience, proven ability, and room to grow in the right environment. When those elements come together, the results can be much bigger than expected. The Lions are building a team with a clear identity. They want toughness, discipline, and reliability on defense. Wonnum fits into that identity without forcing the system to adjust around him. Instead, he strengthens what already exists. If he settles into his role quickly, he becomes a dependable contributor. And in a competitive division, that kind of reliability matters. Games are often decided by small moments, and having players who consistently execute can make the difference. There's also the possibility of growth. Sometimes players reach another level when they enter a system that suits them better. Different coaching, different teammates, and different expectations can unlock performance that wasn't fully visible before. If that happens here, the Lions don't just get a role player, they get someone who can influence games in key moments, whether it's pressure on a quarterback or stopping a critical run.
And that's why this move has real potential. It's not about immediate impact alone. It's about what this signing can become over time. Because in the end, the smartest teams aren't just chasing stars. They're building depth, finding value, and creating a roster where every piece has a purpose. And this move fits that philosophy perfectly.